Welcome to the Truth Wins podcast. This is episode 88, titled, What is Scientology? My name is Todd Sherman. I'm your host. As always, with me is Stu. Say hey, Stu.
Hey, Stu.
We're going to be talking about Scientology, but it's kind of for a reason, because where we record this, we actually are right next to... We're right next, where we record this in Pittsburgh.
Somewhere.
In Pittsburgh.
Unknown bunker.
Yes. Yeah, we don't want people knowing where we are.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I got you now. It just took me 4
Come
seconds.
On, T.
Yeah. Do you really think they're coming after us?
I'm just saying.
I know we share some things that are not popular, but hey, I'm not living in a bunker. Anyways, we're in the general vicinity within 80 miles of a church of Scientology. So we kept saying, we got to talk a little bit about Scientology. Not that it's in front of you a bunch, but it probably is in front of you a lot more than what you realize. It's just packaged a little bit differently. So we want to talk about what is Scientology and why you should give a rip. But before we do that, let's have some time to Stump Stew. All right, so you can probably guess which episode this next one is from. Which one do you think?
The same one as last.
Yeah, drag queens. All right. Boy, we did push a hot button there. Excuse the pun. All right, so what about the trans...
You're so bad.
I couldn't help it. It just
so
was right there. I had to take a swing. All right,
Lord,
what about...
him.
Please. What about the transgender Christians? And then the follow-up is, and what does truth win anyways? A prize?
Cute, Mark.
Mark.
Yeah, cute question.
Being silly.
So the last part, what does truth win? A prize. Yes, there is a prize for truth. It's knowing the truth.
Yeah.
And Mark, if you don't know the truth, you're in trouble, especially if there is an answer to this life. And the question, what about the transgender Christians? I can't even say the word hardly. Wow. For instance, let me just talk about that for a second. It says in Genesis 1:27, it says, "And God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them." God created two genders, male and female. Everything else is of human invention. Mm-hmm. And when humans start to invent things or try to change God's natural order, we always end up with problems. We look at like the GMO thing we talked about last episode. Anytime man tries to play at being God, he always blows it. It doesn't work well. Like I think we mentioned one episode when scientists started to figure out that oxygen is extremely flammable. And so the first nuclear weapon, they thought, we might ignite the whole atmosphere. But they did it anyway. It shows you.
Risk versus reward. All right,
cares?
It's worth it.
We might just blow up everybody, but it's all right. Let's go for it.
Huh.
Yeah. So it's a dangerous thing to call it's like, to me, the term transgender Christian is like saying pro-Jew, pro-Nazi. I mean, you can't start doing things and just putting a adjective in front of Christian and changing it to fit your worldview.
But what if somebody says, I am a Christian and I'm also transgender? How do you, maybe is he asking, how do we relate with that person?
Well, the other piece is we do love all of our fellow human beings. Yep. So they're a human being and they're made in God's image. But when they try to change the way God makes it, once again, man makes things wrong, and we tend to goof things up.
Well, and the most loving thing you can do is share the truth.
Right.
And the scripture says the truth sets you free. The Son has set you free, you're free indeed. And so to a second question, like you said, it's like, if you know the truth, the prize is spending eternity with the author of truth, the one he is the way, the truth, and the life. And so that is the ultimate goal, is eternity with the God who loves you. So yes, I agree. Well said. That was time to Stump Stew. All right, your back's gonna be sore after this one, because kind of like on the last one we talked about angels, did a little bit of digging on angels, but not a ton, just because that wasn't a real passion of mine. Scientology is way down the line from angels for me. So it's like, to me, it just is, I think of Tom Cruise and John Travolta, and I think these guys are crazy. Why do I have to deal with it? But I know we got to deal with stuff, because if we don't at least know a little bit, we can't talk about why we believe it's leading people away from the truth. So tell us what you know about Scientology, and I'll jump in here and there.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Tom Cruise, John Travolta, Isaac Hayes. If you ever saw, there was a TV cartoon show that I'm not recommending parents let their kids watch, but it's called South Park. Mm-hmm. And they did a specific episode because Isaac Hayes, who was the voice of Chef on South Park, was a Scientologist. Oh. And Tom Cruise, they had him on too, but they always do a really kind of brutal expose and somewhat, of course, it's always satirical and humorous attack on.
They're from Colorado, right?
Yeah, the South Park guys. Yeah. Yep. But if you get a chance, you should watch the episode on Scientology. It is rather humorous because you start to realize, wow, was it Dostoevsky says, when people cease to believe in God, they don't believe in nothing, they believe in anything. And this starts to qualify as that. Yeah. When you start to realize. So
when did Scientology? Okay.
I was gonna, the background.
Yeah. When did it start? Where did it come from? Who did it come from?
Okay, it actually came from the writings of a guy that's called L. Ron Hubbard, or Lafayette Ron Hubbard.
Why do guys sometimes do that, where they do the initial for the first name
one
instead
of them,
of the
but
middle?
not the other? Yeah. Why didn't he go L.R. Hubbard? I don't know. Yeah. I think his old mother was in trouble. So old mother Hubbard.
From now on, though, Stu.
Yeah.
My name is T. Eugene Sherman.
T. Eugene.
Call me T. Eugene.
T. Eugene.
For sure. Or just T. Money.
T.E. T. Money.
T.E. Yeah.
T. Cash.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So L. Ron Hubbard served in the U.S. Navy in Australia and World War II, and he was hospitalized at the end of the war for various war-related ailments. And he found that something was going wrong that he thought in his thinking, so he wanted to discover a science of the mind. And the mind is a very powerful thing when it comes to healing. Like you can make yourself sick. Yeah. Like we talk about psychosomatic illnesses. So your mind can cause you to, like when you watch those commercials and say, have you got a scratch in the back of your throat? Do you have any hair growing out of your ear? Oh, I've got both of those. I've got this.
Take this prescription medicine and you'll be all better.
Rinvoq. Whoops, no, we shouldn't say actual names on the air.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
They're all bad.
But so he decided that he needed to come up with a way to help himself get better using his mind. And so he also, it turns out, if you've ever heard of him, he was a science fiction writer. And he wrote some Westerns, which is pretty cool. I like Westerns. But and I like science fiction a lot.
Did he ever write science fiction Westerns?
I don't know. He probably did. He probably fused elements of both.
Did he do the Will Smith movie? Remember that? Wild West or something like that?
The Wild Wild West? No, that wasn't him. Okay. But
that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Keep going.
But it's not. What is it? Aliens and Cowboys.
Yeah, Aliens.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Aliens and Cowboys. That's based on a true story, though, I think.
That actually happened.
Yeah, that actually happened.
In the Old West. We're kidding. That's not true. Okay.
You don't know that?
So I do. But from these, this should give you a clue, too. You should kind of go, wait a minute. And I'm not trying to disparage this man, but I am a little, but
little.
He wrote a book called, and you may have seen this, it was called Dianetics. It makes it sound, kind of, ooh, that's an interesting term. That's kind of, and Scientology makes you think like it's based on science. So this has some real merit to it. The Latin, what is it? Scientia, it actually means knowledge in Latin. And so when the study of knowledge, what could be better than that? Well, let me give you a couple ideas about what he says. He says, the basic purpose for humans is survival. That's our goal, is just to survive. When a mind is not working properly, the reactive mind will take over, and it creates these negative images that he calls engrams, E-N-G-R-A-M-S. So it's kind of like an emotional scar on the inside, like in your psyche. And bad engrams can be left over inside you from your previous lives.